Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and it's time for Start Bench Sell 2026. We're going to be looking at all of the big players for Ruben Amorim and we're going to be deciding as a community whether they should be starting, benched or sold in the January transfer window or in the summer transfer window. So first player we're going to do is Bruno Fernandes. Get involved in that. No sitting on the fence, proper conversation. This is what a United Stand 8 o'clock show is all about. Driven by you, driven by opinion. Bruno is already in there in the live chat. Start, bench, sell, get your votes in. And just to give you a little bit of time if you're watching live as well, let me just start by saying this. We have our charity stream tomorrow. We are only £48 away from hitting £1,000 before we've even started the stream. The same thing happened last year. It's because you're all bloody brilliant. I'll be reading some of the messages because I do always say on the Just Giving page, which is in the live chat, if you do contribute and you want to give us a little bit of a story or why you're doing it, I'm more than happy to read them out tomorrow as well. So we've got Rob Always United's gifted £100 as well. Brilliant work, Mark. This is for my mate Dave. So thank you everybody who's already contributed. We might hit £1,000 while we're live tonight. So links in the live chat for the Just Giving page. Right, let's get into this. What's this? One of the criticisms of former manager Ten Hag from several. This is interesting actually. I did just a little bit topical before. I mean, Ugarte works for The Sun now and he must be hearing voices in his head because he reckons he's getting source information still. And I was laughing about this. So, I mean, can you imagine a Man United player or member of staff leaking stuff to The Sun and Samuel Ugarte? I mean, how low would you have to be for that? But apparently, this is from Ugarte, one of the criticisms of former manager Ten Hag from several United players was that his training sessions were too intense and contributed to their infamous injury toll. So several players have got in contact with Samuel Ugarte at The Sun and gone, hey, Samuel, a bit more information from the training ground about our training regimes. We really didn't like Ten Hag because it was too hard work, but Amorim, it's a lot easier. Yeah, I hope you're doing well working at The Sun. Yeah, I know most of the fans don't like you either. Yeah, and nobody likes The Sun, but yeah, I just thought of you first ahead of Ornstein or Romano or anyone else. Anyway, catch you later. Let's meet for a drink. Bye. Yeah. It's a load of crap. And it goes on to say, Ruben Amorim has adjusted United's training pattern so that their daily sessions become less intense as they approach match day, ensuring the players are as fresh as possible for their fixture. Excluding Martinez, who has been sidelined since February. I've never heard such a load of crap in all my life, right? This is dangerous stuff because it's bullshit. Manchester United and Ruben Amorim have not reduced the intensity of training sessions at all. In fact, Amorim's sessions are known to be very intense. Players are still getting tired after an hour playing one game a week. The difference is, when Erik Ten Hag was here, we were playing 2 games a week. We're playing 1 game a week. So players might psychologically think, oh, it's easier under Amorim, but he's not training them any less intense. In fact, he has to do it a little bit more to maintain their fitness levels across a week. Because you might play on a Saturday and not play till the following Sunday. So he has to be very careful around fitness levels and sharpness. But when Ten Hag was here, you might play on a Saturday, you might play on a Thursday, you might play on a Sunday, you might play on a Thursday, you might play on a... You know what I mean? 2 games a week. It's just a load of crap. Load of crap. There ain't no way players are ringing up and telling The Sun stuff like that. Anyway, let's go. Dev says, do you mean January or the summer? I can be niche with that. I would personally say the summer. That's what I'm looking at here, especially with the first one, Bruno Fernandes. So no sitting on the fence. Start, bench, sell. Bruno Fernandes. This is what you've said. Start, 30%. Bench, 17%. Sell, 53%. I like it. I like it a lot. I think you're absolutely brilliant. Right, so I said in the summer, if he's going to play as a number 10, keep and start. If he's going to be a midfielder, sell him to Saudi. I am not sitting on no fence. There ain't no splinters in this arse. I am going to say this. The evidence from Ruben Amorim is that Bruno Fernandes is not a number 10. He is a midfielder. And therefore, unfortunately, Bruno Fernandes, it is a sell. I cannot continue down this road for another season with Bruno Fernandes in the midfield. It is a stopgap. It hits our possession. He is a number 10, and we shouldn't be doing this for any longer than this season. And I don't care if you put prime Kante next to Bruno he's going to get tired and overrun eventually because it's not Bruno's fault. He's not a midfielder. So this has to end in the summer. This has to be a sell. And of course, we're talking about pocketing 60 million plus for a 32-year-old as well, and reducing and taking a 300 grand a week wage off. So financially, it's a yes. But realistically, I'm not even going to put in the whole what if he's a midfielder. I think realistically, what if he's a number 10? He's not going to be a number 10. It's very, very clear that he's not going to be a number 10. So for me, that would have to be a stone hard no. I think it's got to be a sell for me. We're going to do Ugarte next. I'll start setting that up, but there's a few comments coming in. Mazraoui says, maybe Luckhurst is Dalot and Amorim's long-lost second cousin twice removed. It wasn't it them who did the old, what do they call it, Ancestry.com checks. Eugene says, Bruno just can't play in a deeper role, doesn't have the minerals. You know what? In fairness, and I've always said this, in fairness with when it comes to Bruno Fernandes, if you look at his stats, he will always be somebody that you can, spin it into whatever you want to do. You can make him look like the worst midfielder in the world, and you can make him look like the best midfielder in the world. Because sometimes, statistically, his interceptions aren't bad. His defensive actions aren't bad. And as we know, his chance creation is very, very good. What people don't realise is he'll make more chances as a number 10 than he will in the midfield. And the balance doesn't, the negatives don't outweigh the positives. Sorry, the positives don't outweigh the negatives. He's not good enough defensively. He's not disciplined enough. That's it. I don't need to list anything else off. I don't think he's good at keeping possession. I don't think he's disciplined enough. And I don't think he's defensive enough. End of story. I'm not going to criticise his passing. Not going to criticise his, ability to create chances. He's just not a midfielder. So, yeah, simple as that. Get your comments in. I want you to get involved in this. Ugarte is coming up next. So, yeah, as I said, for me, that would certainly be a sell in the summer based on, where we're at with it. Okay, next player I want to do is going to be Ugarte. So, start, bench, sell, Ugarte. I think that this is a difficult one, which is why I've thrown it in second. Be very interested to get your comments, as always. I think with Ugarte, my feeling is it will be a long-term sell. That's my prediction, that he will be a long-term sell. I don't think we'll sell him in the summer. We might keep him for the bench for another year, and I think that's probably most likely. We might loan him, but that will be because we can't sell him. And I don't think we'll really want to loan him. We are still learning with Ruben Amorim. It was a very short lesson with Casemiro, who was nowhere near the team in the first 2 months under Amorim and now starts most weeks. You can come back from oblivion. You can come back from being not used. So that could happen with Ugarte. But there's just something not right there. Like, I disagree with people around Ugarte that he's a flop. Because I thought last season, being brought in at the end of the window was very difficult. It's always very difficult because you don't get a pre-season. You've got to learn as you go. And I actually think he had some good games that people just want to seem to ignore. He did have some good games and he had some bad games. And I thought for a first season, it could have been very much like Gravenberch or Fabinho, who when they went to Liverpool, their first season was a bit mixed. And then their second season, they were really good. But the problem with Ugarte is, if you can forgive the first season, which I think had good and bad bits, the second season has been terrible. I mean, I'm trying to think of a film with it's like Jaws, which was very good. No, he wasn't quite Jaws. No, that's terrible, because Jaws 2 wasn't a bad sequel. It's like an okay film, then they've done a sequel and it's a flop. I'm sure you can give me plenty of examples. But I think this second season's been horrific. Really, really horrific. Whereas the first season, I think, was a mixed bag, and you'd forgive that for a first season. But I just don't, at the moment, see a way back. And it worries me, because you can't be hypocritical. Like I'm saying about Baleba, it's a big red flag that for 3 months, he's been being subbed around an hour and not played well. That's a big red flag. Well, this has to be a big red flag for Ugarte. Even if he starts playing well again, how long till we have an inexplicable 3 months where he's not playing well? I mean, is this a player that has consistency problems? So I think with Ugarte, for me, it's probably another year of bench. because I don't think we'll be able to sell. That's what I would say. What are you saying? 11% are saying start. 28% are with me saying bench. 61% of you are saying sell. So I think that's rather interesting in relation to that one then. I don't look. I think if Man United could get the money, then they would certainly sell. But I don't think it's going to be easy to do that in the summer. So I think for me it might be another year as a bench or a loan. If Amorim thinks Bruno is a centre midfielder, how can we blame Ugarte for not developing as a centre midfield? Says Keel. Well, it's the same as Mainoo, isn't it? Who we might be talking about in a few minutes' time. I think with in relation to what you're saying there, Ruben Amorim has my support. Ruben Amorim is the manager of Manchester United, and I want him to do well. And if he proves us wrong along the way, great. That's what he's paid to do. He has chosen Casemiro and Bruno over Ugarte and Mainoo. We are within, and Ricky messaged me tonight saying, I don't like the fact that you're talking about European football next year. It's not done yet. And I said, I know it's not, but it should be done. And he went, yeah, I think it should. So, you know, we're not there yet, but Amorim's gone Casemiro and Bruno over Mainoo and Ugarte. And you could argue we wouldn't be in a better position with Mainoo and Ugarte because we're probably pretty much where we would hope to be after 11 games. It's at the detriment of Ugarte and Mainoo, but what if they're not performing? What if they're not good enough? But I certainly think the lack of games doesn't help any bench player at the moment. Who are we doing next? Oh, yeah, we're doing Maguire. I'd keep Maguire for his work ethic, says Atab. I just want to skim through some comments when we're doing this. What's his face says, Maguire lost the captaincy and then worked his socks off. Commendable bench. Interesting. Maguire on reduced wages, I wouldn't be opposed to keeping as a squad player, but anything. I tell you what, you're brilliant. I'm loving, you're definitely getting the brief tonight. Like, loads of people are voting. Loads of people are just giving bullet point thoughts on each player, and it makes it really easy to whiz through these and have a good conversation. David says, I don't understand the sudden Ugarte agenda. He isn't the best in the build-up, but would suit the bench as a squad player. I went with bench. Ugarte, perfect squad player for when midweek games come along, says Alejandro. I went bench. I suppose some people's, to play devil's advocate, some people's issue might be that he cost us nearly £60 million to sit on the bench. Yeah. Bigger picture is counter-attacking, boring football. Our team with a few signings, 4-3-3 could be mega, says Danny White. And I don't trust Mainoo. The midfield falls apart when he starts, says Robaz. Well, we're not actually doing Mainoo at the moment. So, in relation to Harry Maguire, 9%, lowest yet for start. Bench 54%, sell 36%. It's just changed. So bench basically means keep him as a squad player. Obviously, he's out of contract in the summer. He's on £190,000. For me, Maguire's quite simple, and I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't change. But there is a kicker. So my stance, and I did say it 2 weeks ago, is that I understand the experience that Harry Maguire brings. It's not that he's the best centre-back in England, like, you know, Van Dijk, who's, you know, on the decline because of age. It's not that. It's the experience that Harry Maguire offers is unique in the sense that our club is always one torpedo away from sinking. You know, we're a leaky boat that we're hoping is going to get to the, you know, destination, but sometimes just gets torpedoed out of the water. So we're always quite fragile. And I think Harry Maguire's experience is really unique because he came into the club for a ridiculous fee. He got handed the captaincy way too quick. He had a bad 2 years because of the fee, because of the captaincy, and because he'd been over-promoted. He didn't do very well with it. You know, he was very, very bad. And that's putting it lightly. You know, he was very, very bad. I remember a certain YouTuber, Man United YouTuber, calling him the C word. It got, you know, it was that, you know, I wouldn't use that word against the player. I think it's disgusting, although someone will probably find a clip where I did, but I don't think I have. I might have. But yeah, anyway, look, it was bad. It was really bad, and it was justified. The criticism was justified. He wasn't very good. He was playing really, really bad. He's then had the captaincy taken off him. He's been tried to be sold. Man United wouldn't pay him off for his wages, so he stayed. He got back into the team. He scored some amazing goals that we'll always remember. Anfield, Lyon, there are others. And, you know, he's fought against the adversity admirably. I don't think he's ever going to justify £80 million. And I don't really think he's a starter. And I don't think he's a Man United legend in any way, shape or form. Or even a United great, because I grew up with proper greats and proper legends. But he's certainly somebody that offers an experience that is quite unique. And I think if you can bottle that up and keep it around for another year, it could be quite useful in a fragile time. I think if this club was in the Champions League and, you know, looked like it was going to compete for the title, I don't really need Harry Maguire because the mentality's right and he can't teach me how to win the league. But I think while we're still quite fragile, another year of Maguire might make sense. But he's got to halve his wage. He's got to come down to 100 grand a week. And also, I wouldn't keep him at the detriment of getting a Schlotterbeck or an Inácio or anyone like that. So I don't want to keep him just so we can save money, basically. Also, interestingly, we never consider the player. You know when people go, bring the star boy back, Rashford, Sancho, whoever. No one ever thinks that Rashford's loving it in Barcelona and Sancho wouldn't want to come back. It's always, oh, bring them back. With Harry Maguire, I would say this. It might not be the case that he wants to stay. I think he will want to stay, but it might not be the case that he wants to stay when you consider that he's, you know, the wage on offer might be quite low and he could earn it better elsewhere. So all I'm saying is Man United might not be able to offer the wage that Maguire wants because we can't pay 150 grand a week to someone who's just going to sit on the bench and tell good stories about how you need to persevere. You know, it's not worth that. So yeah, I would keep him for the unique experience, but I also think you've got to, you know, you've got to get the deal done at the right place. It's not Casemiro next, it's Dalot next, but let me just grab some of your comments. Teasy FC says, thanks for your super chats tonight, by the way. He says, what are the observable differences in how we're targeting midfielders now versus the last decade? Hope all is well, boss. Well, I don't know who we're targeting, Teasy. I think we've neglected the midfield for a very long time. I think the uniqueness around the midfield market, and I was talking to somebody today about this. You know, I like Elliot Anderson, I like Stiller, and you know, one of them talking about Stiller and saying, you know, I'd like us to buy him. We're probably in quite a unique situation where the market's really good and a lot of the players are around a similar profile. I don't remember there being a clutch of, you know, early 20s midfielders around where you can't miss, you know. Red Army says Maguire was never bad. He took responsibilities for others' mistakes because that's the leader he is. And while the players and fans have so much respect for him, mate, you always do this. You know, we've voted to keep him, and you still have to go for more, mate. I can send you to a compilation set of Harry Maguire being absolutely shite. Don't try and. Just because we all like Maguire and what he's done and he's, you know, we wanted to keep him, doesn't mean you can pretend he wasn't total shit for 18 months. He was bloody rubbish. Rubbish. Can't you remember the Spurs game where he picked Luke Shaw up and moved him out of the way for Spurs to score? I mean, he made so many bad mistakes. He had a bad 18 months. Own it. That's part of the story. You can't have the rain without the rainbow. And that's the whole point. Like, Maguire's reason to keep Maguire is because he was really shit, then he wasn't. And it's that story and experience that we would want to keep him for. As a captain, players should look up to Bruno, but I don't think he's setting the right example, says Cannon. And do people defending Ugarte even watch the game? It's so obvious when he plays, we suffer. So uncomfortable on the ball, quick to forget all balls he's lost, says N. And Pedge says, hi Mark, it's my birthday just passed. My gift my family put together was a trip to see United against City in the Stretford End as my first United match. Never cried over happiness in my life. Love the show. Well, you know what, Pedge? What a great, 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 great present. And also, we might win. You could be in the Stretford End at Old Trafford next year watching us play Man City. I think it's January, isn't it? Watching Man United beat Man City. You know, that's the thing. I think we can. I think we can beat them. So, yeah, enjoy that. Sanchez says, United are paying Casemiro 350k, Bruno 300k, Maguire 190k, Shaw 150k. I think you do need to vote for them to go, says Sanchez. There we go. So we're on to Dalot next. I am giving you the times to vote. Now, before I reveal what the scores are with Dalot, Savage says he's a Serie A player. Please sell him. Bring back... Okay, we're not reading that out. I confirm... Okay, Keel, thank you very much. Why do people want Dalot as a bench player, says Mason. And some people have voted for Dalot to be a bench player, obviously. Love the Friday show, says What's His Face. Thank you very much, pal. Dalot can be a useful utility player off the bench, says Kunnell. Send Dalot to Milan, that's Savage again. And the only ones I'd definitely sell are Bruno, the 2 goalkeepers, and Sancho. I thought he said Sesko for a minute, Lawrence. Yeah, Sancho's not even going to get a vote. I mean, if anyone votes to keep him or bench him, yeah, you're in trouble. Matthew McFadden says, Sell was a solid option, but has been game-changingly, consistently bad for over a year now. I think, you know what? My story with Dalot is quite unique in the sense that, for me, I always stuck up for Dalot. And this is why I don't do agenda, because agenda would be, oh, I really, really like them, and I'm always going to stick with them. Luke Shaw, stuck by him for years. I know we haven't done him yet. Dalot, stuck by him for years. You know, Martial stuck by him with years. But sometimes, you know, you've got to put the club first. Dalot is 26. He's not 27. I've said he's 27 for a few times now, but he's actually 26. He'll be 27 in March. So, still got years on his side, but 26, 27, I don't think it makes a massive amount of difference to me. The reality is he's not for years he was a prospect. He's now on the leadership team, apparently. So, 4% of you say start, 17% of you say bench, and 79% of you are saying to sell. So that's a landslide to sell Dalot. Well, we know for a fact that Amorim won't, but that's not the point. It's what we would do. I think this summer, controversially, he's got to... Oh, no, not start. But I think this summer, the chances of us being ready to sell someone like Dalot are highly improbable. You know, I can't set us a ridiculous amount of business to do because then that's fantasy. I want to be real, you know? So I'm keeping Maguire. I'm keeping Ugarte. I'm selling Bruno. What am I doing with Dalot? I'm leaning towards the bench, to be honest with you. I'm leaning towards the bench. He starts too many games. That's the problem with Dalot. I think you know, you do need utility players, and he can play. Well, he can't really play left back, to be honest. But no, I think I would keep it. I think I would keep him and bench him. And maybe, you know, maybe if you did that, then maybe he would then become a player that would, you know, want to move himself. Shahin says, unpopular, but the last time Dalot played consistently in his position, he was player of the season. People react to form as opposed to ceiling. Yeah, but Shahin, do you not think that that's, you know, a good point, but you've almost answered your own question? We don't even use a centre-back we don't even use right-backs anymore. We don't use left-backs anymore. We use right wing-backs who really need to be wingers. I mean, Dalot has lost the ability. I mean, the thing about Dalot that's very interesting, and Matthew's absolutely spot on, he's been consistently bad for quite a long period of time. And I think it was about a year ago when we heard that he was staying back doing shooting practice. I mean, has he just stopped practicing how to cross? Can't you remember that meme video clip of him crossing the road in Manchester? And somebody said it's the first time he's looked when he's crossed in ages. And his crossing ability has gone through the floor. And that is a massive part of what he is in what we need. And to be honest, his shooting isn't that good. I mean, Ten Hag lost his job because Dalot missed an open goal. So I think the Dalot, for me, I'd probably keep him another year, but bench him. Because I don't think we would bring in the volume of replacements next summer in his position. Mainoo Philosophy says, Dalot should be sold. I don't see any positives with keeping him. He just simply doesn't suit our system. Well, Amorim loves him. He won't be sold. But having said that, if somebody walked forward and gave us 25 million, I'd take it. Just don't. Would anybody do that? Is there anybody out there that would do that? I don't know. I really, really don't. We're on to Casemiro next. Who will be next after that? We've still got some good ones to do. Zirkzee, Mount, Mainoo, Sesko. But Sesko's a difficult one to do, isn't it? You're not going to sell him in 2026. That's what we're talking about. So maybe we'll leave that out there. Dev said, would you class Bruno as a Man United legend? No. I mean, I can do a poll on that at the end, but no. Absolutely not. Like, legends of Manchester United are people like Eric Cantona, people like Roy Keane. They're not Bruno Fernandes. He's a Poundland legend of Man United. If you want to do it from, the last 10 years, he would have to have legendary status. And if Man United's history started in 2015, he'd be a legend. But it didn't. He's not even a Premier League legend of Man United. He's arguably a great, but he's not a legend. No, never in a million years. I understand why people want it, because you're young. And, if you're under a certain age and you haven't experienced what a legend is, then Bruno is probably the best, most consistent player you've seen. So I understand why people of a certain age want to say it. But, I've witnessed riches. I'm not going to live with being poor. And there ain't no way we've had a legend at this football club in the last decade. No way. I mean, Rooney might have been playing 10 years ago, and he is a legend, but that was the back arse of it. So, is he a great, is the question I would throw back, to be honest with you. Is he even a Man United great? Love Casemiro, but it's time to go, says Honk the Trumpets. Okay, this is what you've had to say about Casemiro. I thought this one was quite interesting. Notice how I let you, the community, vote before I give my opinion, because I do not want to be agenda-driven. Loving the show tonight. Please do share the video. Get involved, whether you're watching live or not. I want to read your comments in the morning and see what people are saying, because I think it's going to be very interesting. So, Casemiro, start, bench, sell. 14% of you would start him. We're talking about the summer, of course, because his contract's up. 21% of you would keep him for the bench. 65% of you would sell him. My opinion, without doubt, one of the generational holding midfielders of the last, of the 21st century, let's be honest. Absolutely. He's up there in the conversation with people like Rodri. So, he's been bloody good. And Kante. So, very, very good. But we barely got 6 months of a decent Casemiro. And if people think this Casemiro is anywhere near what he was at Real Madrid, you're wrong. What we have now is a very diluted Casemiro in relation to his legs are gone. He can't really dictate the play with possession anymore. He has to get rid of it quickly because he gets pressed quickly. And, in fairness, he's trimmed down. He's worked hard. He loves his football. And he's put himself in a position where he is our best midfielder. And that's the truth. He is our best midfielder. Now, that's in a midfield that's not good enough, but he is our best midfielder. So would I start, bench or sell? Well, the mitigating circumstances here are that he's 34 in February. He's also on ridiculous wages and he's out of contract in the summer. So if he had 2 years left on his contract, it would be a different conversation because you'd be like, well, he has a contract. We can't sell him. So we may as well keep him. But to keep him, we've got to renew his contract. And I look at things like this and I go, okay, how many years has Casemiro been here? First year of Ten Hag, second year of Ten Hag, Amorim and Ten Hag. This is year 4. I've had 4 years, 3.5 years, of a player that cost me over £60 million and 300 grand a week. So 300 grand a week is what? 1.2 million a month? Times 12 is 12 million a month. It's about 14.5 million a year in wages. Times 4 is, 55 million plus the 60. I've spent 100 million pounds on Casemiro over the last 3-4 years. Have I got my money's worth? No, I haven't. So for me, the contract is up. It's time to go. Yeah. Margot Robbie says, I miss you so much. Yeah, for me, we've got to move on. We've got to move on. That doesn't mean that Amorim will. Doesn't mean that Casemiro will. But for me, that is a move on. Kia says, at this point in history, we don't need legends playing for United. We need a group of hard-working players that stick together and win, i.e. the class of 92. That's from Kia. Amorim hates crossing and thinks Bruno is a CM, says Keel. And we can, you know what, Keel, we're diverting a little bit here, but do you genuinely, and when I say you, not just Keel, I'm talking to the general population here, do you actually think that we have a manager that doesn't like crossing? Is that real? Like, do you really think? Because I think the jury's out on that, and I can do some research on it and I can find out, but. We were bottom of the league last year, virtually bottom of the league last year for crosses into the box. But that was also a legacy of Ten Hag as well. I don't know where we are this season, but it seems to have improved a little bit. I think it can improve more, but I don't think he's anti-crossing. And I tell you what, if you get a chance to go onto That's Football and look at the Bundesliga highlights and goals from the last game week, oh my God. I cannot believe the amount of goals from crosses, open play crosses, not corners, open play crosses, unbelievable. For me, it was like a busman's holiday back to the 90s. I just love goals from open play crosses. I think it comes from Giggs and Beckham, and Neville, to be fair. But I just love an open play cross into the box and someone gets on the end of it. It's nothing better than that. Van Nistelrooy, York, Cole, Solskjaer, love it. Interesting here. Ryan T, one of our members, says, sell Martinez, he's injury prone. Well, this is an interesting one. Matt Salah says, how are we judging Mainoo on 15 minutes here and there, yet Bruno gets 7 games before he has a half-decent game? Give Mainoo 10 games and let's talk. Mainoo's coming up next and then Mount, so get ready for those two. Parker says, Bruno great, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Andy F says, we can keep 1 or 2 of these players for the experience and leadership, but we're not a charity. We need to move on from most of them. Thank you very much. Okay, so Martinez, start 64%, bench 19%, sell 17%. So the majority of you are saying to start Martinez, and I think that has to be the logical presumption because we've been waiting for this player to come back for so long, and he's such an important player for us in the sense that he's the only real back 3 centre-back who can step into the midfield. He's also left-footed. He's also a very good passer of the ball. He is made for this system more than any other centre-back. Yoro might grow into it. Dalot's very good at it. But Martinez is made for this. You know, he's this very, very strange centre-back. When we bought him, there was some criticism of it. You know, you're buying a centre-back that's barely 5'10" and playing him in a back 4. There's a vulnerability there to crosses potentially. But he always did quite well in a back 4. We now play a back 5 with 3 centre-backs. He actually easily can step into the midfield, which is something we wanted him to do in a back 4. So for me, it's got to be a start. It's got to be a start. And if it works, I think he becomes a fundamental part of this Amorim system. But there is a kicker, of course, and that is that if he gets injured again or he comes back and he's not as good, then it's not as simple as sell, but he might become a bench because he's not the player he was. So, but that's not by design. For me, I want him to start. You know, when I say I think we need to sell or let Casemiro go or, you know, let Dalot go, that's based on football. So based on football, for me, Martinez is a starter. Absolutely. That doesn't mean that, you know, he's not going to get injured or whatever, but for me, he is a starter. Mason Mount up next. My worry is that not finishing 90 minutes, Casemiro says whack. Start Martinez until he turns into Luke Shaw and can't get off the treatment table, then sell, says Nick P. Trouble is, you can't, you know, I don't think we've done Luke Shaw, have we? But you can't sell players. I always find it, obviously I understand it, but I always found it quite interesting how people say sell Luke Shaw or sell Mason Mount. To who? If they don't, look, you could sell Luke Shaw at the moment. If Luke Shaw stays fit till the end of the season, then I nearly did bench sell for Luke Shaw there. That wouldn't be fair. If Luke Shaw can stay relatively fit until the end of the season, there is a chance that somebody would come and take him off our hands if we put him up for sale, because he'd have a year of not being fit, being fit. So, but you can't just sell. You know, if Martinez gets injured again, we won't be able to sell him because nobody will pay the price. I've got a good comment here. Get voting on Mason Mount. You list. Ji-Sung Park says, you list United legends and don't include me. I'm the greatest and you all know it. I'd carry this current heap of trash to a treble. Well, you know what, Ji-Sung Park? You are in the fortunate club of being one of only 2 ex-Man United players I've played against in a real game of football. The other one was Wes Brown. And Ji-Sung Park stopped me scoring at the Stretford end. True story. I was on the edge of the box, waited for the cutback, scanned, got myself ready to shoot, and Ji-Sung Park came from nowhere and ran off with the ball. And I was like, I literally looked both ways. No one was there. Setting myself for the cutback, and then he appeared from nowhere. Which is pretty much what he did all his career, isn't he? You know, just amazing engine. Emily Derry says, I don't think Amorim is anti-crossing. We just don't have enough players who are able to or want to put a decent cross in often enough. He wants his wing-backs to cross. I agree with you, Emily, because I have. I was looking at some of the chances that Bruno created this season. And, you know, a lot of them are a diagonal into Mbeumo who gets a shot off. But some of them were crosses. And Casemiro tries to cross as well. So we do try to cross. Bruno tries to cross a lot. And so does Casemiro. I think it is a skill issue. I agree with Emily. I think it's a skill issue. I think, you know, Casemiro and Bruno's job is not to cross, but they do drift wide to the right sometimes to put that first time curling cross in. I think it's a lack of people who can actually put a good cross in. 2 major injuries in the game is different than being injury prone. Mount is injury prone, not Martinez, even if they missed the same number of games, says Shahin. Thank you very much. We're going to do, Matt, we've done your super chat. Thank you very much. We'll do Mainoo in a moment. But let's do Mason Mount. So let's have a look. Start, bench, sell. 17% of you would start Mason Mount. 57% of you would bench Mason Mount. And 26% of you would sell Mason Mount. I'm telling you now, if I'm being completely honest, if somebody gave us £40 million for Mason Mount, I'd pay for the Uber. Like, I really would. I'd take that money. What I know, and I think what a lot of you know, I would grab that money and take it. This is not even like a hesitation. The injury problems that he's had and the injury problems he's probably going to have, if we could get anywhere decent money, you'd be a bloody idiot not to take it. I mean, I'm just checking here. He's got a lot of time left on his contract and he's only 26. He's 27 in January. So we have got a guy on 250 grand a week who's probably got 3 years left on his contract. We ain't going to be able to sell him. So it has to be, you're right, 56% of you have to be right. It's a bench. You've got to bench and hope that he can continue to do what he's done this season, which is be fit enough for the bench to start games for an hour or give us half an hour at the end. And that's the right choice because a sale is not going to happen and he's not going to be fit enough to play 90 minutes week in, week out. So we've basically got a decent player who isn't fit for purpose. He's a bit part player. So bench has to be the right thing. But as I said, if anybody offered us 40 million, you know, if Mason Mount knocked on the door in the summer and went, I don't want to be a bench player. My agent's been talking to, I don't know, Everton and they want me and they offers 40 million, I'd go, oh God, no. Can't believe it. You're such a valuable player. Sign the deal. Because I'd be just worried about the injuries. But yeah, bench is the obvious option for Mason Mount. John United says, any player here for years hasn't earned the right to stay. A couple of domestic cups don't change the fact that 15th and losing the Europa showed a lack of mentality. Why keep them for experience? Interesting. And Olivia's given us a super chat. She says, evening, I'm 16 today. Can I have a happy birthday? Me and my dad watch you every day. Well, happy 16th birthday, and I hope you and your dad are sat enjoying the show and you're having a great birthday with your family as well. Olivia, happy birthday to you. And loads of people in the chat are saying that as well. So there we go. Have a great day. Let me put someone else up while I just quickly... should we do that? Well, no, let's do this one. Let's do this one first. So, we've done Mason Mount. Let's do Zirkzee. But before I do that, what about a Mount and Mainoo swap for Baleba, says Stephanie. Do you think Brighton are stupid? That's a question mark question. Like, do you think Brighton are stupid enough to do that? Or are they? Or would it be stupid? You know what? Look at James Milner. Look at Lallana. Did they not both? Lallana, did Adam Lallana go to Brighton, or am I thinking somebody else? James Milner went there, so they're not opposed to taking a bit of experience in. I think Mainoo would be a good deal for them, but Mainoo and Mount for Baleba as a straight swap, I don't think Brighton would do it. I think they'd still want some money as well. M. Parker says, the last great we had was Carrick. Fight me. Ooh. But did Carrick play later than Rooney? Because Rooney, whenever Rooney retired, whenever Rooney left United, if he outdated Carrick, then Rooney was a legend. So Carrick would definitely be a great. But I think Rooney was here after Carrick, so... yeah. Some people don't want to say Rooney's a legend. I remember when he was playing, I wasn't sure. Because obviously he asked to leave and he did decline at the end. But I think the minute he'd left the club, it became very clear that he's got to go into that legendary status because he was a very important player for us, for me. Very important. Very good question. Very good point, Parker, anyway. Right, let's have a look at what you're saying in relation to Zirkzee. 10% would start Zirkzee, 38% would bench Zirkzee, and 53% of you would sell Zirkzee. So I'm saying, what am I saying with Zirkzee? Right, I mean, look, it's a bit like the Bruno one for me. If we're going to use him, he could be a bench player. But Amorim doesn't use him. So would you say sell and get somebody in? Like with Bruno, if you're going to play him as a number 10, I would keep him. If you're going to play him as a midfielder, I would cash in. So with Zirkzee, we're not using him. Now that might change in the next 2 months, but right here, right now is what we're asking. I'd sell him because the reason for that is reluctantly sell him. I do think he's had a bit of a rough ride, and obviously he wasn't an Amorim signing, so you can't blame Amorim. I would sell him for this simple reason. We're not using him anyway. I'm not sure he'll ever get a run again. When I look at Zirkzee, I don't know that there's a place he can win. Like, he might play up front for a little bit and do quite well. He might play in a number 10 because we've got injuries and do okay. But when everybody's fit, he doesn't play. And there's no pathway to playing. So I just think with Zirkzee, as I said this morning, from minute one, he's always been linked with leaving. And that's a good thing because we'll get our money back. So I think for me, it would have to be a sell for Zirkzee. But it's not without its regret. Let's put it that way. It's not without its regret. Right, Mainoo. We've probably saved the best till towards the end here. Let's have a look. Start, bench, sell, Mainoo. Ooh, could be the best one, this. Up there with Bruno. Start, bench, sell. This for me does come with context. Definitely comes with context because I think you've got to put context on this. 100%. Right. Let people vote a little bit here. Rub says, remind me again why I keep voting on these United polls being a Chelsea lad, says Rub. Because you probably don't have very good content for Chelsea, do you? That's why a lot of people from other clubs watch the United Stand, because you're a great community. Mark, would you play Bruno over Cunha or Mbeumo? Oh. You know what? You know the answer to this. You're a cheeky little shit, Matt, because you know the answer to this. Because I've always said, if we're playing Bruno as a 10, I'd keep him. So how can I say I wouldn't start him as a 10 over Cunha and Mbeumo? Because then I'm benching him and I may as well sell him anyway. I would start Bruno as a 10, yeah. Now, I don't know how long I'd do it for. Let me quantify this. So we've just done start, bench, sell Bruno. If you weren't here at the start of the show, it was the first one we did. And I said I'd sell him because Amorim uses him as a midfielder and not a number 10. So as a midfielder, I'd cash in on the money that we can get. If he was as a number 10, I'd keep him. And I agree with that. But let me put it this way. I would play him as a number 10 at the expense of Cunha or Mbeumo. And if he didn't do well, then I would sell him. So I would definitely give him a run at number 10 before selling him. Yeah. 300k a week can't cross, says Keel. Who can't cross for 300 grand a week? Bruno can cross. Jonathan Landy says, I know it's the United Stand, but did you see how Foden absolutely put it on a plate for Eze yesterday? Oh my God, Jonathan. I mean, is this some sort of meme going around? I mean, I thought that the commentator was going to shoot his load. You know, Phil Foden literally plays the simplest pass in the world. Eze puts it in the top corner, and they're losing their shit about the bloody pass. I mean, it's the first I've commented on it, but it was making me laugh. I was like, that pass from Foden is not difficult. Like Seb could play that pass. You're running forward, Eze's in your eye line, and you lay it off 5 meters. It's the simplest pass in the world, and they're trying to make out like it's the world's best assist. Foden's playing really well for Man City at the moment. Really, really well. But it was almost like Eze's just put it in the top corner, and we're meant to praise a 5-yard pass. It was incredible. I don't understand what that was all about. Anyway, right, let's go Mainoo. From one great to another. 52% of you would start Mainoo. 27% of you would bench Mainoo. And 21% of you would sell Mainoo. In this situation, I still stick with you. I would start. That's my intention. I cannot say the word sell Mainoo. Even if he gets what he needs in January, a loan deal, I would still be hoping that he goes on that loan deal, proves everybody wrong, and wants to come back to Manchester United, because that's the story we've always been told. My fear is that part of the reason we won't loan him is because we're scared of him proving them wrong, and then he's got to come back and play. But he needs to play. He needs to play. And if we're not going to loan him, we have to start him. But we can't sell Mainoo, knowing what we know from when he broke on the scene. We can't just say no. You're not getting any game time now. We have to give him a run in this team at some point. And if that means we loan him in January because we've not got enough football, and we bring him back in the summer when we've got European football and he can get a run of games, so be it. But there ain't no way I'm selling Mainoo in 2026. Ask me this in a year time for 2027, and I think we'll be in a better position. But he can't be sold in 2026. I mean, he can, and we'd get good money. I think for all the players we've been through, Bruno, Mainoo, and Zirkzee are the only 3 we could get money for. You won't get money for others. You really won't. So for me, it's definitely a start, even though I agree it might be a long-term thing where we loan him in the summer. There is one more I definitely want to do, and I don't know whether we've got him. Let me quickly see if we have him listed anywhere. Yes, we have. Great. There we go. So, the next one. Let me know in the chat if there's anybody else that's actually relevant. I mean, we're not going to do people like Cunha and Mbeumo, Ahmad, Mazraoui, Dalot. These players are irrelevant in that sense. But I just wanted to go through the ones that were most important. Okay, so yes, Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw. Let me get Luke Shaw. Fantastic show tonight. Pat yourselves on the back. So, Luke Shaw. Start, bench, and we're talking summer 2026. Sell. If Mainoo was at Brighton or Palace, we'd be begging the club to sign him, says Matt. And with Mainoo, what's Ruben waiting on or doing? Esev. Mainoo's on 25k a week. Why not give him a better contract, says Sanchez? Because he won't bloody sign it. At the moment, United will be saying, you're not even in the first team. We'll give you 75 grand a week. And he's probably going, I played for England in the bloody Euros. I want 150. So I doubt there's a contract to be signed at the moment. Mazrawawi says, after Nico Harrison traded Luka to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, I believe anything can happen. Zirkzee for Baleba and Matermo straight up. Suraj says, is Kobbie really ready to start 38 games? Mate, we'll just start with starting 8 games in a row. 38 games would be brilliant. Let's just start off with 8 games in a row. Keel Robinson says, a legend inspires a team to achieve greatness. And Nick P with the super chat says, sell Luke Shaw, not to a team, to a local hospital as worn spare parts. Honk the Trumpet says, I'm fuming if Luke Shaw stays longer than Bruno. And if, let me just, I just want to get a little bit of context here, actually. Luke Shaw. He is a bit older than I thought. I thought Luke Shaw was still like 29, but he was 30 in July. And his contract ends in 2027. Bloody hell. That contract was stupid, by the way. Absolutely stupid. We gave him a 4-year contract with a +1 in 2023. So 2 years ago, in April, we gave him a contract. He's basically been injured for the last 2 years. So whatever bloody idiot gave him that contract needs sacking. He's still got 2 years left on his contract at 30 years of age. So, and he's on good money. I think he's on about 170 or something like that. Sell, sell, sell. Definitely sell. I mean, what he will be is a bench. He will be a bench player, but I would sell him any opportunity, because I look at the last 2 years and I go, how long till we get another 2 years like that? And I'm paying him every week for it. You know, he'll be doing TikTok videos again, injured. So I don't. And what about when it's not a? What about next year when there's not a major tournament for England in it as well? Like, you know, so I think like he's doing well at the moment. He is doing well at the moment, and it's incredible that he's not been injured since May. That is unbelievable. You've got to applaud that. How? Maybe it's because we're playing 1 game a week, but his fitness at the moment is to be applauded. And some of his performance has been good, although in the second half I think he does fade off. But yeah, I'd take, if anybody was willing to give us some money for him in the summer, I would take it. 100% take it. He is a popular player around the club. He is well liked around the club. And look at how the club protected him after that England debacle as well. There was total and utter radio silence. So he is well liked, but for me, it's a sell. If we could get money, I don't think that'll happen. He will be here for the foreseeable, but I would take the money if we could. Sanchez says United have spent over 500 million on. Oh, I haven't even done the result on Luke Shaw. Sorry, I did that first there. I couldn't wait to get in. United have spent over 500 million on Bruno, Casemiro, Luke and Maguire in fees and wages. Was it worth it? No. No. $500 million on Bruno, Casemiro, Luke Shaw and Maguire in wages and transfer fees. No. I've just been sacked by Girlfriend FC. Great weekend, says Jank. What do you get sacked for? Poor results. Hopefully it wasn't letting in too many goals. Whatever that means. There's probably loads of funny football. We probably shouldn't laugh. You know, pick your chin up, mate. And, you know, as Marcus Rashford would say, pick that head up of yours and get back in the game. There's another game to play. Yeah. Dung says, I found this channel back in May. Has been watching twice every day. Love you in the United Stand. Oh, I love it when new people come along. Thank you very much. I always miss the fact that there might be new people that tune in. Make sure you subscribe and get involved. Absolutely. Right, your vote on Luke Shaw was 9% of you would start him. That was probably Ricky on multiple burners. 18% of you would bench him. And 73% of you would sell him. So there we go. That's quite unanimous, I suppose. Right. Make sure, I don't think there's a player we've missed that's not worth discussing, really. I can't think of anybody. I mean, Onana and Sancho, please go. And I just think everybody else, we wouldn't want them to go anyway. So I've enjoyed that. I have enjoyed that a lot. Right. I just want to do this. The link is in the live chat to contribute or donate to our all-day charity stream tomorrow. So the plan for tomorrow is I will be live with you at 10 o'clock for the news show. And then at 11 o'clock, that's football all the way through, 11 o'clock in the morning, all the way through until midnight, live stream. Seb's been practicing Simpsons Fortnite because apparently everyone will really enjoy it. So he's been dedicated before he went to bed playing a bit of that. I'll be doing some FC26 stuff. We've got Fall Guys. We've got a watch along for the boxing, which is going to be very, very good. We've got some interactive stuff going on as well. So all day stream tomorrow. Get ready for that at 11 a.m. And you can donate before we even start, because I have got to read these out and want to read these out, because we are already well on the way to 1,000 before we've even started, which is a great start in hitting our 20,000 target. So Johnny M, thank you very much for your donation. Just Giving is in the live chat, and I'll put it in the video description as well. Aaron N says, much love, Mark. Fuck cancer, fuck United, up cancer, reach, search, up the Chelsea, says Aaron. Chelsea fan there. Well done, Mark. Much love, but fuck United. There we go. Scott Sykes says, too many of us are impacted by cancer. Thinking of all those myself and others have lost through it, family and friends. I must just say, by the way, thank you for all these contributions, but the charity is for the Marie Curie Centre, which is for end-of-life care. So this is for people with terminal illness. There's no way back. This is support for them and then their family, counselling, bereavement, everything like that. So, you know, this is what we do it for. Stuart Dutty has given us £20 as well. Jason Beach says, hi, Mark. The reason why my brother passed away a couple of years ago was lung cancer. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Jason, and thanks for giving us that note. We've had an anonymous £50. Andrew Page says, giving on behalf of my best friend who would have been 50 yesterday. His brother works for Real Madrid as a groundsman. Thank you very much, Andrew. David McBrin says, keep you the great work going. We've had an anonymous £150. Brilliant what you do. I hope you get many donations. Well, whoever that is, big shout out from me. Michael Usher, can't donate much, but I'm in Australia. Love from Michael, Lorraine and Aurelia. Thank you very much for that. I've had an anonymous £30. Rob Always United gave us £100. Absolute legend. Shill says, blessed to be part of this footballing community. It's become a daily part of my life and always look forward to this time of the year to support such an important cause. Legend. George C says, amazing initiative. Thanks, Mark. Love your channels. A member for many years already. Thank you very much, George. Stephen Doherty, great cause, Mark. Thank you for £50. Man United fan for life says, hi, Mark. Keep up the great work donating for such a great cause, and I hope we can all smash the goal and make it the biggest donation ever since you started the lives. I mean, that would be incredible. We'll have to see how it goes. James loves this, and that's football. Thank you very much to James. Mark Wright watches the United stand every day from Northern Ireland. Keeps me company in the car as I'm an engineer with a lot of driving. Legend. Mark, thank you very much for your contribution. Team Water has given us 20 quid as well. Ahmed Sarad's give us £25. I stand with you and encourage all to join this cause, he says. And Sarah, in memory of my beautiful mum, Auntie Jill and Nick. Thank you, Sarah, for your contribution. Mawaya as well. Ben gave us £25. Star says, every step we take together for Marie Curie lights the way. Let's keep pushing forward with hope and strength. Thank you very much to you, Star. And Liam and Slow Sports News gave us the first one as well. Thank you very much, everybody who has contributed so far. It starts tomorrow at 11 a.m. We're going to be live all day. Got lots and lots planned. I really appreciate everybody who's got involved in that. And hopefully many of you can tune in tomorrow. And we have got like the boxing tomorrow night as well, which will add a little bit of drama and stuff for it. So really looking forward to it, and be part of it tomorrow. It'll be very interactive. Thank you very much for the show tonight. Really enjoyed that as well. If you didn't get to watch it live, leave us your comments, and I will speak to you tomorrow. Take care. Have a great day, evening, whatever you're doing, and stay safe. Thanks for watching.